Hi, my name's Bruce Twito. I'm Director of Engineering for Verdiem, and I put together this video to show how Surveyor can save money and energy in your organization and how it can help make IT be more efficient. Surveyor saves money and energy by putting devices into energy-saving power states when they're not needed and waking them up when there's useful work to be done. Surveyor can wake devices by scheduling them to awake at a planned time or by waking them on demand using our enterprise-friendly Wake-on-WAN technology. We're looking at Surveyor Advanced Reporting, a web-based application that gives insights into systems, where they're being used, and their energy use over time. The data we're looking at is from a 6-week period at a customer site where 3 weeks were spent in a measurement-only baseline period, after which we see 3 weeks of savings from enforcing the energy savings policies available through Surveyor. To visualize this, let's look at the chart on the bottom left. This chart shows the display and CPU states of the computers in this organization over time. Each one of the vertical bars is a day. The black represents periods of user activity. On the bottom here, the display states, the tan area shows when the display is on, which is an average of 81% here during a weekday. On May 11th, it's about 19%, the displays in their low power sleep states. Similarly for the CPUs, on this particular day, the systems were on for an average of 87% of the time. Not sleeping at all, the blue area represents time when they're in their energy saving sleep mode. And apparently some users would shut their systems off before they went home because the CPU off percent of time was about 12%. We can see the effects of policy enforcements as we move forward in time after Surveyor switches from the baseline measurement-only mode to where policies are enforced by Surveyor. You can see that displays are only on when users are interacting with them. You can also see that here's a weekend followed by 5 weekdays followed by another weekend. And that when displays are not needed, they're generally now in their low power energy saving sleep state. Similarly for PCs, they're on only when users are interacting with them and otherwise in their low power sleep state. This particular customer was a 24-hour manufacturing operation, and so there were systems that were in use on weekends and in evenings. We can see that Surveyor is reporting energy savings for this 3-week time, both in terms of costs and energy saved, but also in terms of green equivalents. So how do we know how much energy has been saved? To answer that, let's look at Surveyor Administrator Console. This is also a web-based application. Right now we're looking at a grouping of devices that includes PCs and Macs, network equipment such as switches, IP phones, WAP, which stands for Wireless Access Point. These are power distribution units or power outlets that are controlled via network. Also, there are network-based security cameras reported here. So how do we know how much energy we've saved? Let's look at a group of devices that we're reporting in throughout the baseline time period. With Surveyor, it's very easy to select a device or set of devices or groups of devices and set the baseline so that it automatically is calculated on a device-by-device basis. The baseline period was from about May 3rd through May 18th. When I click OK, Surveyor automatically goes away and computes the baseline time period for these devices. We see that this one was on about 93% of the time and was shut off about 7%. The display was on 26% and off, or in its low power sleep modes, for 73%. Contrast that to this computer, which was on about 25% of the time and shut off by its end user about 75% of the time. When Surveyor is computing energy savings, it does so based upon the data from baseline periods and from the accurate measurement of time and state, and combines that with knowledge of how much different devices use in different power states. You can see the difference between an Optiplex from Dell and how much energy it consumes versus a workstation. All this information is considered in calculations that determine the overall energy savings and consumption from Surveyor. Surveyor automatically calculates energy savings on a device-by-device basis based upon a policy that the device uses and comparing the baseline time period from the post-policy enforcement time. The reportings that are saved are a result of those computations. Let's take a look at a policy to understand how this all works. We learned through Surveyor that users were interacting with their systems starting around 7 o'clock in the morning and ending before 6. We set a conservative timeout scheme so that end users wouldn't be impacted by systems going to low power states during their workday, but then switched to a more aggressive power scheme so that as users stopped interacting with their systems, as Surveyor stopped detecting activity on them, they would go into their sleep state. The IT department wanted to have a nighttime maintenance period for devices where they would wake up and do things like virus scans, software updates, security patching, and so forth. You recall the user that shut down their computer? IT didn't want the inefficiencies of that user needing to wait around while virus scans and software updates happened, and switched to a plan where systems were awakened during the night using Surveyor's reliable wake capabilities to do that maintenance. Let's see the effect of this policy. We'll switch to advanced reporting to a view that shows the efficiency of power states over time. Days are along this axis, where older time is here. This is around May 1st, all the way up through the end of, or through mid-June here. And hours are reported here. So this is midnight all the way through 8, 7, morning, midday, afternoon, all the way into the evening and nighttime hours. The redder areas here represent times when the system is on, when there is less user activity. You can see the depressions in this area where there are user activity during the work days, and a weekend here represented by a long period of red. Once policies are enforced, the systems go into low power states when they're not needed on the weekends and in the evening hours. You can see the 3 a.m. or the 2 a.m. wake-up period on Wednesdays here during each one of the weeks when the off-hours maintenance happens. And as users begin coming in and interacting with their machines, you can see that user activity coincides with the on-power states. Then in the evening hours, systems fall asleep as users stop interacting with them. I can see by a red area here that we could be more aggressive about beginning a more aggressive sleep policy and capture additional savings because users are not interacting with their systems as much in the early evening hours. With Surveyor, it's easy to group devices into ways that are meaningful to each organization. You can, of course, drag and drop a device into any group, but that's not feasible for a large IT operation. Instead, Surveyor allows rules that can automatically group devices according to the rich amount of data that's collected by Surveyor. Similarly, policies can be assigned by rules so that Surveyor can be set up and configured and operate automatically, even in the face of change. Surveyor's agents can be configured to automatically update themselves when new versions are available, either system-wide or on a device-by-device or group-by-group device basis by just saying, hey, I want to update this device. Surveyor is designed to work well in organizations where roles are distributed among many people. Very often, the desktop management team and the telephony management team are in different areas. Surveyor has a rich capability to be able to delegate administration or assign it to groups based upon Windows group memberships to divide up who is able to do what types of administrative work. Here we see a phone administrator role having only the rights to view and take actions upon telephones. Similarly, help desk roles or other administrative roles can divide up work among people. Before we finish, let's take a last look back at Surveyor Advanced Reporting. With Advanced Reporting, it's easy to get actionable information about your environment. You can dive down and choose particularly which groups you're interested in looking at. You can compare different policies and understand their effectiveness. You can change date ranges and display units so that you're able to quickly and easily understand metrics in terms that make sense to your business. Advanced reporting also helps give insights into the operations and efficiency of your environment. This report, for example, shows the amount of average time systems are in use during days. Simply click on a bar and get a list of systems that can then be easily exported to Excel and how many minutes they are used in an average day. With this type of information, it's easy to understand which systems are in use and help eliminate systems that are either redundant or underutilized. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this overview of Surveyor. Please contact us if you want any further information about Surveyor, or we can help you understand how it can work in your environment. Have a great day.